ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। एकं शास्त्रं देवकीपुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकीपुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। हरिः ओम्। ॐ श्रीकृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः अर्जुन विषाद योगः। धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जय। सञ्जय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसङ्गम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत् पश्यैतां पाण्डुपुत्राणाम् आचार्यमहतीं चमूं व्यूढां द्रुपदपुत्रेण तव शिष्येन धीमता अत्र शूरा महेश्वासा भीमार्जुनसमायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः दृष्टकेतुश्चेकितानः काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजित्कुन्तिभोजश्च शैब्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्त उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथाः अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये तान् निबोध द्विजोत्तम नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रमीमिते भवान् भीष्मश्च कर्णश्च कृपश्च समितिञ्जयः अश्वत्थामा विकर्णश्च सौमदत्तिस्तथैव च अन्ये च बहवः शूरा मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविताः नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम् अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि तस्य सञ्जयनर्हर्षं कुरु वृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्यौचैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान् ततः शङ्काश्च भैर्यश्च पणवानकगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत् ततः श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्कौ प्रदध्मतुः पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दध्मौ महाशङ्कं भीमकर्मावृकोधरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सह देवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्चापराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुः शङ्कान् दद्मुः पृथक् पृथक् सघोषोदार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यधारयत् नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलो व्यनुनादयन् अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शास्त्रसम्पाते धनुर्युद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्षेऽहं य एतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्तो हृषीकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतान् समवेतान् कुरूनिति तत्रापश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थ पितॄनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातुः पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेय सर्वान् बन्धूनवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टो विषीदन्नमिदमब्रवीत् अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सुं समुपस्थितं सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपयुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् वक्त्रैव परिदह्यति न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च किं नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगाः सुखानि च त इमेव स्थितो युद्धे प्राणां त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्याः पितरः पुत्राः तथैव च पितामहाः मातुलाः श्वशुरा पौत्राः श्यालाः सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतोः किं नु मही कृते निहत्य दार्तराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः स्वजनार्दन पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वैतानाततायिनः तस्मान्नार्हा वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबन्धना धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबन्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव यद्यप्येतेन पश्यन्ति लोभोपहत चेतसः कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम् कथं न ज्ञेयमस्माभिः पापादस्मान्निवर्तितुं कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं प्रपश्यद्भिर्जनार्दन कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति कुलधर्माः सनातनाः धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्नम् अधर्मोऽभिभवत्युत अधर्माभिवात् कृष्ण प्रदुष्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रीषु दृष्टासु वर्णेय स्त्रीषु दृष्टासु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णसङ्करः सङ्करो नरकायैव कुलघ्नानां कुलस्य च पतन्ति पितरो ह्येषां लुप्तपिण्डोदकक्रियाः दोषैरेते कुलघ्नानां वर्णसङ्करकारकैः उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणां मनुष्याणां जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासो भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुमा. So this is where we were listening to Arjuna's ramblings, and here where he talks about Kula, Varna Sankara and all that. We would like Raghuramji to throw more light on this in this context, and also how this Varna and all this, is it even relevant? Is it at all connected to the caste system that we talk about in today's world? Over to you, Raghuramji. Thank you so much for coming. We all are so blessed today.
Thank you, Bala. When you called me, I thought that you have some doubt. Today I see the panel is full of people. I'm so glad so many are involved in this study, Bhagavad Gita study. So it's a very nice thing. I thought that let me go through the whole concept of all this division that we had in the form of Jati, Kula, Mata, and also Varna. Unfortunately, this has been given in English as caste system. Nobody cast anybody into this. Casting means it is like the way in iron, it is put into a mold. Nobody puts anybody into the mold. So that's why I think we refer to more of a Varna system rather than the caste system. That's better. So I have explained that in my PowerPoint. I don't know whether you have received, Bala, the PowerPoint in your email. I sent it, but
You want me to share that, Raghuramji?
It can share it to everybody so that they will have it. But meanwhile, I will present, I think I'll share my screen so that you'll be able to see that. So, can you see it now? I am. So, you see the shape, my PowerPoint, right?
Yes, Raghuram.
Yes, we can see.
Right. This is Sanatana Dharma system of actually how to manage the society. Let me give you this idea that in Sanatana Dharma, anything that is given in the form of any system, it's always towards the spiritual goal, spiritual development of an individual. So in that context, even this Varna, Jati, Kula, Mata, it's also in that direction given importance that way. And let me give you that these are the few words that are there in our Indian text, which is called as Varna. And that's what you see that Chaturvarnyam Maya system Gunakarma Bhakasha. Similarly, Jati is another thing that we know that what is jati. And in fact, on the other day that you had given me the table in which this kula jati, and only one more thing that I added is mata, because people also add this mata as a part of their understanding about this classification. Before we go into this, what happens is that by classification that we understand the and utilizing them in better way, like the way that's what is the Sankhya philosophy talks about it. The way that we say solids and liquids and gases, by dividing that, we can understand the matter better. The same way that Sattva, just Tamoguna is the way to understand, and we can apply universally. That's what is the idea, that this division is something which is basically taken up. Now, these are the couple of shlokas that I have mentioned from Bhagavad Gita. That is, Kulakshaye Pranikshanti Kuladharma Sanatanaha. This is where Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, he says, Dharme Nashte Kulam Krutsam Atmo Adharmo Abhimanavata. So this is one thing. And second thing is very famous shloka that we all have. That is Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam in the fourth chapter, 13th shloka. Gunakarma Vibhakashaha Tanya Kartaraha Apimam Vidhi Kartaram Avyayam. These are the two sutras. I just take the basis of that and then try to explain about what is the way that this whole thing has been divided. Actually, this division is not what human being has done. This is evolved organically. That means it's not just only in the human being. In all the species everywhere, this particular kind of a division that's available. And this we will, over a period of time, we will see that. And this is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are supposed to be the Varnas, Chatur Varna. Varna is, it's a shade, or it may be the color. So both these things are there. So different colors are different shades, we can say, think of it. That means nothing is higher, nothing is lower, nothing is bigger, nothing is smaller. But this is what is basically, the whole society can be divided into these four different varnas. And actually these varnas, when you look at it, these are actually powers that human being has. And these are powers which are vertical divisions. Like, for example, Brahmana is the intellectual power. Kshatriya is the organizational power. And Vaishya is the finance or productivity power. Shudra is the labor power. In fact, all the powers that are there in the nature can be divided into these four. And these powers, they are not just only the powers, they are actually the prana. That means, say, Brahmana's prana is that intellectual prana. Kshatriya's prana is the organizational prana. Vaishya is the intellectual, the ability to produce and look at the finances is his prana. Shudra is the labor is prana. So prana itself is the power. So we are all born with this prana. And this way our division, we have seen already, we know about 5 different varieties of prana within us. But in the organization, in the whole setup, that the prana that is there in the form of power, it has been divided into these 4 verticals. And that the society, is also a living organism, like the human being. So therefore, in the society also, that these four powers division is there. So whatever we see within us is there in the society. That's why we have the name for the society, it is called as Puri. And, from that we have this name, Puri comes into the picture. So a small little society or a big society, it is called as Puri. That means it's a living organism. Purusha is behind it. And Purusha is the one which is actually made this particular Puri. And individual also, we can, Purusha behind that individual is known as Puri. So we have these 4 different powers within us. So the society is also a living organism like a human being. All these 4 powers are acting within us in harmony. Like, for example, our feet is supposed to be the Shudra. That means they do the activity, labor activity. And then there is the food that we give and it goes to the stomach and it distributes everywhere and it produces energy out of that. That's what is Vaishya. Kshatriya is that organism within us which is continuously protecting us. And we have head intellect which is working within us in the form of Brahmana. So all these four units are working within us like the way that it works in the world outside. Not only within us, even in the case of any plant or any man, any animal, anything that is there, we have all these four divisions or four types of power that is there. Like, for example, roots is one kind of a power, the stem is another kind of power, flower and foliage is another kind of power for the tree, for the plant. All these three things are necessary. And these things like divided into roots are as the tamas, the stem is sattva, rajas, and then the flowers and the foliage is sattva. It's an example that he has taken, the analogy that he has taken, and then the description also, man, whatever that is happening in the darkness, roots are the darkness, that darkness is supposed to be tamas. And you see the stem where incessantly, continuously working is going on. It protects the whole thing. And then it sends the saps upwards, downwards, and all those things that happens, working like the Vaishya and Kshatriya, they belong to the middle. And the flowers and the foliage is supposed to be Brahmana. So therefore, the wonderful colors, wonderful these things that are there. It is the flowers and foliage in the sky. Sattva is that which is in the sky, in the openness and the freedom. And the rajas is constantly working in the middle, holding it tight. And then tamas is that which is working in the darkness. So that's how sattva, rajas, tamas is depicted in these three things. The same way sattva, rajas, tamas is depicted in the human being. Now, all these four powers are within us harmoniously. That's why you see that the roots have no complaint with the head has no complaint with the stomach. There is nothing like any complaint. They are all working in harmony. Only thing is that when we create that harmony, that's what is the health of a human being, health of the nature, health of the nation outside. Now, there is a bigger meaning behind this particular thing. And all these things have the intelligence of its own. Like you, labor, I see that many times labor have the kind of intelligence which is required for his labor work. It's so beautiful to see that. What we cannot do, they can do it. What we cannot organize, they can organize. It's another extraordinary idea. The same way, Vaishya has his own intelligence and his own speciality of that. That's why it's specially meant for that. So therefore, basically, all these things have their own intelligence. There is nothing like one is greater intelligent, one is lesser intelligent. There is nothing like that. Now, what happens is that if there is a harmony between them, then the whole system will be very healthy. This is the idea. Health is our harmony. Now, what happens is when these four powers, why they have given vertical division, is very important. And there is no hierarchy in them. Please understand that. To start with, in our culture, there was no hierarchy, excepting only the degree of discipline will be diminishing as we go from Brahmana to Kshatriya to Vaishya to Shudra. Brahmana is somebody who has very high degree of discipline, very high degree of vratas, very high degree of intentions that Brahmana has. Kshatriya has less, but Kshatriya are also equally very strong. And then Vaishya is lesser than that. And Shudra doesn't have anything. So Shudra is born as it is. You can do the labor work, and that's fine. Why we need to have the discipline? Basically, when we have the discipline, one who is the disciplining is the willpower. So therefore, you look at the Brahmana and Kshatriya, very high degree of willpower compared to Vaishya and Shudra. And in fact, that's why in Upanishad, there is a story where comes, Shweta, the Rishi's son comes back. Rishi says, you go to the teacher and then become Brahmana and come back. And then the student says, I'm your son, therefore I'm a Brahmana. He says, in this house, nobody is born as a Brahmana. Brahmana you will become, otherwise you are a Shudra. By learning, by disciplining, going to the Gurukul, that you discipline, then you become Brahmana, highest degree of discipline. So, and a very important discipline that Brahmana has, Brahmana never used to have money. It's always a Vaishya. Kshatriya also, very interestingly, he does not have money. He always used to take care of the kingdom. And all that he has is to actually give the respect to the kingdom. His big palace, his big arrangement, and all those things is for the respect for the kingdom, not for himself. It's not his. He cannot say that it belongs to him. So that's how the Kshatriya is like. But money is there with all Vaishya only. Vaishya has to give all the money. So there was no, these four, therefore, they're verticals. In fact, we have seen that kind of a situation in two cases. One is in Mysore Maharaja's time when he wanted to build the Kanambadi Dam and all those things. He didn't have money. And the queen says that I'll give all my jewelry so that you can spend this and you can convert it into money and then build the dam. Immediately, people said that, look, it's not your jewelry. You cannot spend it. You have to wear it as a queen, but you can spend it. But money you want it, you can borrow money from us, and then we'll give the money and build that. So that's how people from Bangalore and Mysore and all the businessmen, they built that Kanambadi Dam. They didn't allow the king to put his money because king's palace, riches, everything is the honor of the state itself. So like that, Vaishya and Shudra is a labor work that he does it. And we have another example like that, how the Vaishyas came across to support the Kshatriya is when Rana Pratap, he wanted to build the Udaipur because that time it was destroyed by the Mughals. At the time he wanted to build the Udaipur. Then the whole businessmen came forward from Marathwada and from all those places. They came forward, they financed him so that he said, in 5 years, I will repay you. So therefore, that he built that Udaipur, and then after building Udaipur, he developed the whole economy of that place, collected the taxes, repaid back to the Shudra, Vaishyas. So that means these are vertical powers. And as I said that Brahmana has to have highest degree of discipline, Kshatriya is lesser one, and Vaishya is much less, but compared to Shudra, he doesn't have any discipline. So therefore, that the work also, according to their discipline that is there, will be given. Now, as I said, that these powers are four verticals, insulated from each other. This is very, very important, genius idea that they had. These are the four powers. In fact, you think of it, the whole power that is there, you cannot think of anything more than these four. There is no fourth division that is there. Intellectual power, organizational power, financial power, and our producing power, and the labor power. So these are the four verticals. Why they made it vertical is that no two powers are together. Nobody can have two powers together. It becomes absolute power. And what are these powers? Given that intellectual power is analysis, scriptures, research, innovation. All these things are the form of intellectual power, Brahmanas parallel. And then Kshatriya, and he is protecting, team building, and giving moral and physical strength. That's what is Kshatriya's power. Vaishya's power is production, distribution, fixing prices, supply chain, etc. All these things will in the forte of Vaishya. And Shudra is a repetitive, lack of innovation, but enduring and not very sensitive, very coarse kind of an activity, is ready to do it. So these are the ways that people divided these things. And in order to do these activities, the activities are prompted by certain gunas. Like for analysis and scriptural research and all that, somebody should have the sattva guna. Where sattva pradhana is there, where he can do the analysis, scriptures, research and all that. In order to do that, he should have a highest degree of discipline. So therefore, sattva guna is somebody who is a Brahmana, whereas the Rajas and Sattva put together is what is Kshatriya. Kshatriya has protecting, team building and all that, giving the moral, physical strength to the people. It creates certain degree of Sattva, but at the same time, a strong Rajasic tendency. So therefore, basically that Kshatriya is that kind of a guna and karma put together. Similarly, in the case of Vaishya, it is Rajas and Tamas. Tamas is required to see that it deals with the matter, it deals with the activity. And then Rajas is required so that you are providing all that kind of production, distribution, supply chain, etc. So therefore, ability to foresee, and value judgment. All these things are at the forte of Vaishya. And Shudra is repetitive kind of an activity. In order to do without any complaint about the repetitive kind of an activity, somebody should have the extraordinary, wonderful degree of what is called as the tamas. Tamas is never looked down upon in our culture. Tamas is also a very important part of it. Highly industrious, not very sensitive, because a sensitive person will become sattvic. So therefore, he doesn't have that sensitivity. So these are the different kind of natures of these people. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And so therefore, guna and karma. This is what Krishna said. Put the things in the guna karma vibhagasha. Now, what happens is when you put it verticals this way, see how many things that have happened is that if two powers together, it becomes superpower. Brahmana, Kshatriya, if you join them together, they become superpower. They didn't want that superpower to happen because superpower will not allow the Brahmana to develop, will not allow the Kshatriya to develop because he becomes powerful in either way. He will not allow thinking to happen. In fact, in the nature, uh, look at the way that how this superpower system happened in the world, that first that way, the Brahmana, the thinking, and also analysis and innovation, and also Kshatriya, the leader, they become together in the case of Christianity. The Pope has become the chief of country, that's what is Kshatriya, and also he is supposed to be the head of the religious sect that's supposed to be Brahmana. Because that he was a superpower, that's why he never allowed the thinking to happen. He said that whatever the Bible said uh, is final. You cannot say anything. That's why when Galileo said that sun goes around, it's not the sun which goes around the earth goes around the sun, he's put behind the bars. When Copernicus said that earth is not flat, it is global, then he was punished. Like that, we don't know how many innumerable scientists have been punished by the church. The church was against the whole development of science because basically the thinking and the Kshatriya, Brahmana and Kshatriya were together in the church. Fortunately, what happened is that somewhere in the northern part of Europe, Newton worked on the gravitational law. And then he did all the experiments. And then he wrote a book. And because of that, science developed. Otherwise, science would not have developed. Similarly, that we have another condition, is just for the case study that we will see that in Islam also the same way, superpower and intellectual power put together. He said that God has given him the message, and then he wrote down that's what is Quran and Hadith. And then he said he is a super ruler, Muhammad. So he did not allow things to grow. In fact, even till today, in the Tablighi Jamaat and the Muslim schools, they teach, you can see the videos available where the teacher said that whatever the Quran said about the earth, that is final. And they said that the earth is flat, earth is not round. But the science student says that today science sees that we are globe. He said, no, that's what the science says, that's wrong. But Bible's Quran said it is like that. And this earth is born at a particular time, you have to believe it. The same way church also has done like that. 4004 BC, on the day great floods, earth is born. Before that, earth never existed. Until that time, until now, that they were holding on to the same theory, even though a lot of Christians hold on to the same theory. And in fact, you see that in 17th century, 16th century, Galileo has been punished because that he said that earth goes around the sun. And today science went far ahead, far ahead. But in spite of it, in 2002, when Pope visited USA, and he said in the public platform, we are sorry, the church is wrong, Galileo is right. People laughed at the whole statement because this is what is the superpower that was doing. Fortunately, in India, we never had that context of that situation of superpower. That's the reason why science has developed independently and the Kshatriya has developed independently. Let me give you how that can independent develop because of the verticals we have given. Brahmana can marry another Brahmana, Kshatriya can marry another Kshatriya. So naturally, what happens, particularly when you take the Kshatriya, such a great advantage with the Kshatriyas is that if I have kingdom and if I have to marry my daughter or my son into another Kshatriya, I have to go to the next kingdom and then the next king. So naturally, what happens is when we get married that way, then both the kingdoms will be safe. Otherwise, it's only Kshatriya who attacks another Kshatriya. And if Kshatriyas are interlinked by the relationship, then the wars does not take place. In fact, that's why real history of India, when you take it, for the last 2000 years, India never had war. After Mahabharata war, there was never another war taken place until unless that we came to a level of this Panipat war. Before that, we never had war. Panipat war because some invaders have come from outside and they fought with us. Otherwise, we never had war. Mahabharata war was the big war that has taken place. So this is what shows that how can I fight with another Kshatriya? Because after all, he is my either uncle, my brother-in-law's and father-in-law, something like that. So there is always a relationship between them. This they survived. We had such kingdoms. In fact, we had 600 kingdoms in the country. And such big kingdoms and small kingdoms. Like we had Vijayanagara Empire, that was a very big empire. Chola, Pandya, all these things were there. So, but they lived very harmoniously. When did the question of overpowering somebody else come? When the king becomes weak. When the king is not taking care of people, then they would go to another king to see that you please take care of it. In fact, we have similar situation in the case of Ramayana, where Gandhara Desha people came and asked Rama, Rama, you have created such a beautiful kingdom in Ayodhya. Why don't you annex us? Then Rama sends actually Shatrughna to take care of Gandhara Desha. So that's how annexation takes place, but not by any aggression. You never see that any king fighting with another enemy. And because the kings, they fight for the sake of, annexing that, that means to say wealth and the property, all that is there should be intact. That's the reason why wars were taking place during the season of only the harvest. Otherwise, war would not take place. The date decided for Kurukshetra war, and the place was supposed to be barren land. It was sat together and they decided about it. They never destroy anything because after all, they take over that kingdom belongs to us, and they don't destroy the people will not be killed. In Mahabharata war, actually it is the army that they are killed. So that's why basically people are protected, the kingdom is protected, but the war takes place. Common man is not affected by that. So these verticals helped us in this way. Vaishya, vertical helps us because one Vaishya goes to another Vaishya to take the support, and then another Vaishya support Vaishya, and also marriage system that is there. Look at the way, because of that, how much we flourished in the trade. We had trade people, Vaishyas, going spreading all over Europe. In fact, our material used to go to the Europe. We were the best exporters in the world outside in 1 century. In fact, Angus Madison says that our GDP, our export were at the double digit when the world did not know about export and all those things. It's because such a beautiful system we had evolved. So that's why this Varna system is something which is very important to see that how we can make use of to see this vertical powers do not become superpower. No king would challenge a Brahmana. No Brahmana fights with a king. That's why in our long history, any time that you can never see a Brahmana fighting with a Kshatriya fighting with a Brahmana, except in few cases where it was inevitable. It was because of some reasons. Like, for example, if Parashurama went on killing kings, he himself was actually supposed to be a king, but he was supposed to be later on Brahmana, he is yogi, because there was some reason why it has happened. Other than that, never this kind of a thing happened in the history. So the feature of related to each other is basis is activity and guna and not based on birth. Birth was never the criteria. For the birth, we had the criteria of Gotra. Gotra is something which is to see that I don't know how they have found out that we have to maintain the genetic code And these people must have known about this genetic code. Therefore, Sagotra should not get married. So that means to say Gotra was important because that was something which was decided about the Guna. That's the reason why you go to the temple. They don't even ask you actually that what is you Gotra, they ask. And after that, you say that your Gotra and your Nakshatra, the whole thing belongs to you only. Actually, there, the family 3 4 persons go, it is not right on the priest to ask you that everybody separately name and the nakshatra and then this and that. It's not necessary. The yajamana who says that sits there and his gotra and his this thing, his responsibility for not only the people of his family but anybody that comes with him. That's why in the yajna shala we have the yajamana. Every yajna has yajamana. Yajamana takes care of everything. That was the idea. His gotra and his nakshatra, they were important, and reduces the possibility of superpower due to concentration of more than one powers. That's what I explained. Each vertical is responsible as it is. There is no cross conversion because there is nothing is hierarchy. In fact, only thing is if you have been able to make a greater discipline, then you rise above from the level of say Vaishya, Shudra. You can always go to Brahmana. But then your responsibility of Brahmana is that higher discipline and more thinking and knowledge and all that. We have all these sages who were actually Kshatriya. That's what is Vishwamitra. Later on, he became a Brahmana by becoming a Rishi because he could do that extraordinary, wonderful degree of discipline. Each, and similarly like that, Valmiki was supposed to be not even Shudra, he was below that, Chandala. But look at the way that how he has improved himself so that he could become vertical and Brahmana. Much more than that, people used to respect him. Now, knowledge grows exponentially. See, Kshatriya is working purely in Kshatriya. That's why we had the warfare developed so extraordinary because that they had concentrated on that. People could concentrate. Similarly, Vaishya would concentrate on the trade. And research development has taken place enormously. We knew about all these sciences. That's what Vedas, there is no science which does not belong to Veda. Veda is our central knowledge. We have known about the nakshatra, we have known about various other things that are there. We could calculate the distance between the sun and the earth and relative distances and all that. The trade becomes manifold, reaching far and wide. There is no part of this country where trade could not reach. When I say this country, we had all the way right up to the Southeast Asian countries, up to the Australia, and this side up to Iran and Iraq. All these things were part of Indian subcontinent. We were reaching that. And when the labor joined together, there is nothing impossible. You see the structure that we have built, the temples that we have built. You mean to say that it's easy to build such a beautiful stone structure without the help of the labor? So we had the labor from various places coming together. Similarly, the kings, they marry with only the king, so help the fraternity and peace. So this country, there was peace, there's taken care of, and this particular arrangement of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it can be at a very simple level to the, it means at taluka level, at village level, right up to the central level that this used to be there. Big kingdoms used to have divided into various things, and then they were there. There were continuously the Goshti, that is, meeting was going on between Brahmanas and between the Vaishyas, between the Shudras. All these things were constantly going on. How the way that today that we have all these various conferences going on for various things. Now, these are the broad verticals that were there, but within that, we had another and Jati. Now, we come to the other division that we had. Jati is supposed to be Janmataha Jati, division because of birth. And what is the advantage of that by birth is that the child is a labor with the father right from the beginning. He never had this idea of child labor and all those things. That's all Western construct. And father will give the child the work because the father takes care what he can do it, what can damage him, train him in such a way. Look at the way that how many years of such an extraordinary, wonderful training has been available. Second thing is that in Jati, there is trade secrets are passed on without reservations. If somebody else have to pass on the reservation, say trade secret, I hesitate. If it is my son, in fact, not only he learns, but he will do the research and development much better. In fact, that is the reason why we had this Chaturvarna, in which basically that the son grows into the Grihastha, then father takes the back step and he only becomes an advisor. That's what is supposed to be Vanaprastha. Upgradation and the skill development takes place because of this jati. Now, what happens is that the basic varna is broad. Under the varna, there are several jatis could be there. Like, for example, a goldsmith. Within the goldsmiths, well, let us take Brahmana. Yajna, yaga, and all this have to be done. And in that, there are some people who do certain part of it. We have such divisions. Like, for example, Hota is one person who do it. Havyaka is another person. So like that, we had divisions there. These are all based on the jati. So therefore, right from the childhood, the apprenticeship is available. He grows in that field. This way, what happens is that kula is also karmataha kulaha, the division according to the karma skills. Some people may be born in particular jati, but then karma, they may be extraordinary. Immediately they are provided into that particular kula. He has given that. So therefore, we had the names, title given that kula. See, people's trade activity, from that only the later on development of bottle wala and this and that. There are certain trades that they do, they identify with that. In fact, this, what is that? They trade called as, you see, in Kshatriya, there are several trade divisions like that. In fact, even this also, Granthi, one who sells, it's a simple trade. So therefore, it can be, that later on became Gandhi. So these are all the things which are activity, purity in activity. Because right from the beginning that his karma, he's excellent in karma, he cannot actually make the karma impure. And the passion for the activity passed on for generations. Actually, in activity, we should have passion. That's what is basically the idea of adhikara. Adhikara means basically that you have an expertise, but you also passion to do the activity and dedication. And every government for small village to a kingdom is divided into these four varnas organically, like the way that three gunas are there in the nature. So the colors and shades are there, everything. That's the reason why every area developed independently, grossly. A few small little example I will tell you. We had one conference at that time. Somebody from Coimbatore, his business came. And then somebody asked him that, see, how much that you put the input, and based on that, you will get the return. See that your investment is what is it, and return is based on that. So therefore, but they found out that China has a lot of investment, and then Chinese growth is there. India doesn't have investment. Why the growth is so extraordinary in India? Then they maintained this. They set up some studies, and then that man he was an economist, and then he was sharing with me that how beautifully it happened in India is without any investment, but the trade has developed exponentially because he gave the example because he is from Tamil Nadu. He said one nadar he produces this, he produces the cotton. Another nadar he has a processing where the unit where the cotton. The connection is that he is father-in-law and he is the son-in-law. And another nadar is the one who exports this and makes this into garments. So that's another nadar. And fourth nadar is the one who transports it to America. So that means what is the connection between them? It is only the family connection. There is no amount investment. Look at if four individuals have to invest, it means 4 times the investment. Here only one investment carries all these things. And there is another nadar which is there in America to spread this. So therefore, the whole thing went on with one investment. 4 different activities have taken place, multiplied. That American child, then he said, this American kid came to me when asking this question. I said, why do you come all the way to India to look at this? Go to your own America, where you look at all these motels which are there, holiday and this and that, and all those things. They're all Patels. One Patel is a he's a manager there, another Patel is a worker there, third Patel is something like that. And then in his motel, this fellow comes back and then he works as a janitor. So that means basically what is the thing? Patel is the idea. So therefore, in fact, when I went to USA also, somebody, an American, white American, looked at my face and, are you Patel or Shah? Because there's so much that they hear about Patels, everything that they are taking over. So the trade is taking the, because of that reason only, they said, if we have to attack India, it is, you have to remove this caste system. In order to remove that caste system, they started that Mandal Commission just to injure India. I said that nobody can take away this because this is organical, this is inherently that has come. So this is what is the way that Indian culture is there. Apart from that, we have also Mata, Jati, Kula, and third is Mata. Mata is opinion. See, let us not confuse this thing. In the same house, there can be four people having four different matas because it's opinion. Opinion is basically yours. And opinion will give you a shraddha in whatever that you are doing. So, in my opinion, God can be included, a temple can be included, and I can have a faith in a particular God. And these are all the things which are based on this, my opinion. So we have like this Dvaita, Advaita, Visishta, Dvaita. You will simply wonder to see that in the same house, the father may be Advaitin, Vedantic philosopher, but wife may be Dvaiti. They're wonderful. They can live comfortably. And then Vishishta Dvaita, son may be Vishishta Dvaita. All these things are different opinions. You can't clash with opinion. They can be living wonderfully. Not to create division, but to enrich personal experience. Generally, different nature people have different gods, different temples, different adherences, types of practice, etc. So all these things, that's one of the reasons why in this culture, we have such a great harmony because all these things are very clear. There is none which is overpowering the other. My way is the only highway. This was never there in this particular culture. We have people who have created that. Like, for example, Shankaracharya came to revive this particular thing. He developed all these four ashramas, which are for four Vedas he developed. But at the same time, that means Advaita is creator of Advaita. At the same time, he has written so many sutras for various gods. So he supported Dvaita. And he also saw so many spiritual activities he developed. That's what is Advaita. So therefore, in this culture, all these things are part of this culture. So that's why Sanatan Dharma is something where extraordinary, giving all these details. Yes, I will stop it here. Any questions or anything? Yeah, some Mahabharata war was the Duryodhana not to annex another land. Yeah, Dharma. Oh, you see, Ashoka is a sole example who turned spirituality after Kaliyuga. Actually, this Ashoka story is something different. They have presented it that way. But Mahabharata war is what you said is very true. Actually, what happened was that Dharma, it's a war between Dharma and Adharma. See, Krishna tried so much to re-establish Dharma without war. That is why he took upon himself to negotiate the things. He went to negotiation table and he said that you give 4 cities, I will convince Pandavas so that let's not fight the war. But then war did not stop. He also did very cunningly another thing too. Many people do not know. See, he never wanted this war to finish and then people will be saved. For that, he went to Karna and tell Karna that after all that you are the Pandavas. If Karna comes this side, then the war will not take place. And Karna will not support Duryodhana, possibly. But Karna is very strong. The words that he has given for Duryodhana, he wanted to be there. See, Krishna tried to see that he avoids the war, but re-establishes Dharma. But Dharma only could be established after the war. That's why it is called as Dharma Yuddha. The war is between Dharma and Adharma. Dharma has to develop. Yes, you can unmute and ask me questions if you have.
तुम 11 बजे को आने का पहले आएगा क्या पूछने के लिए 11 बजे फोन किया
No, I don't think Prema ji. Yeah, I've muted. Anybody, any questions?
Namaste, Raghuramji.
Namaste, Mukund.
Ye-
Yeah.
My question now is that, of course, this understanding we have got of this Varna system,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, the discriminations, whether we like it or not, it's continuing with some people misunderstanding these things and continuing the discriminations. So, what now we need to do to get over this kind of discrimination where people try to think that who has knowledge is more powerful, who has some other kind of money is more powerful. So, this constant bickerings are there. How do we now come
Yeah.
over or come out of this?
Right. We actually are trying to come out of it. Slowly, what's happening? Politics were taking advantage of that. Politics were taking advantage of this system of division. And that's why the whole focus of Modi is slowly changing from that level of good governance and the development. So financially, when we become strong, then politicians cannot use this thing anymore. Now look at the way that who is using this caste system anymore when the growth is becoming the central issue. That's what is happening. And at that time, when we had strong financial position in our country, we didn't have any problem with these things. They were there because basically everybody used to get what they wanted. So financially, there was nothing wrong about it. We never had bickering about that. They created, first of all, this bickering, the shortages, and then say money, power are the actually political power is the real power. So all that is working. Now, political power is not everything. That's what is slowly people are realizing. Because even if you become a minister, become this, you have to work so hard, so difficult. That's what Modi has given the whole atmosphere. So changing takes place, but it takes a while. It takes a while. Earlier, we never even had this opportunity to discuss about these things so clearly. This itself shows that the changing is happening.
Thank you, Raghuramji.
Okay, I think we'll take leave now. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Raghuramji.
You're welcome.
If at all anybody gets any questions later, they can put it in the WhatsApp group and can be forwarded to Raghuramji.
Right. You can call me anytime, Bala. I'm available. Okay.
Yes, Raghuramji, you're welcome anytime, Raghuramji.